Let's get right into it. Number 1. The rubbernecking reflex. Ever found yourself stuck in traffic, inching along, only to discover the cause was nothing more than a fender bender on the other side of the highway? You know, the one where everyone slows down to get a good look, even though it has absolutely zero impact on their own commute. Yeah, that's your brain glitching. It's called rubbernecking, and it's basically your primal urge to gawk at disaster, even when it's completely irrelevant to your immediate survival. Why do we do it? Well, your brain, bless its ancient fear-mongering heart, is constantly trying to learn. It sees a crash, and even if it's just a crumpled bumper, it's screaming, "Pay attention." Danger. What can we learn from this so it doesn't happen to us? It's like your internal risk assessment team is on overdrive, compiling data, points on how not to become roadkill. The problem is, in modern society, most of these dangers are safely contained, or at least not actively threatening you. But your brain doesn't care. It's still operating on the savannah rules, where every fallen gazelle was a lesson in predator avoidance. So you slow down, you crane your neck, you contribute to the very traffic jam you despise, all because your brain is convinced it's gathering vital intelligence. It's basically saying, look, a potential threat. Let's analyze it from a safe distance, even if it means being late for work. So next time you're stuck behind a line of gawkers, just remember, your brain isn't being nosy, it's just trying to keep you from becoming the next cautionary tale. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly annoying, survival mechanism that's gone a little haywire in the age of multi-lane highways. Number 2. The morbid curiosity. Loop. Have you ever found yourself spiraling down a Wikipedia rabbit hole about historical plagues, or watching endless documentaries about true crime, even though it leaves you feeling vaguely unsettled? Welcome to the morbid curiosity loop, where your brain actively seeks out disturbing information, then gets mildly horrified by it, only to seek out more. It's like a psychological self-flagellation, but with documentaries. Why do we do this? It's not because you're secretly a serial killer in training, thankfully. It's another one of your brain's ancient operating systems trying to make sense of chaos. By exposing ourselves to simulated danger through stories, news, or even horror movies, our brains get to practice their threat assessment skills without actually being in harm's way. It's like a mental fire drill. Your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear and emotion, gets a workout, releasing adrenaline and cortisol, making you feel alive even if it's just from the comfort of your couch. It's a safe way to explore the boundaries of human experience, to understand the dark side of existence, and to reassure ourselves that we're not there. The problem is, your brain sometimes gets a little too good at this, and you find yourself craving the next hit of simulated terror. It's basically saying, let's poke the bear with a very long stick, just to see what happens, but from a safe, soundproof bunker. So next time you're binging a show about natural disasters, just remember, your brain isn't being morbid. It's just trying to prepare you for the apocalypse. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly unsettling, survival mechanism that's gone a little overboard in the age of endless content. Number 3. The disaster tourist. Imagine booking a vacation, not to a pristine beach or a bustling city, but to a place recently ravaged by a hurricane, or an earthquake, or even a war zone. No, you're not a masochist. You're a disaster tourist, and your brain is once again showing its weird, dark side. This isn't about helping, it's about witnessing. It's about standing on the edge of human suffering and feeling something. Why do we flock to these sites of devastation? It's a complex cocktail of emotions, but at its core, it's another manifestation of our brain's obsession with danger. There's a strange allure to seeing the raw power of nature, or the brutal consequences of human conflict, laid bare. It puts our own lives into perspective, makes us feel grateful for what we have, and perhaps gives us a fleeting sense of control over our own mortality. It's like your brain is saying, look at that. That could have been us. Aren't we lucky? It's a form of existential tourism, a way to confront the fragility of life from a safe distance. The problem is, it can often feel exploitative, like we're gawking at someone else's misery for our own emotional catharsis. But your brain doesn't care about social graces when it's trying to process the grand tapestry of human existence. It's basically saying, let's go see what happens when things really go sideways, just so we know what to avoid. So next time you find yourself drawn to images of destruction, just remember, Your brain isn't being insensitive. It's just trying to understand the full spectrum of human experience. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly awkward, survival mechanism that's gone a little too far in the age of global connectivity. Number 4. The adrenaline junkie's high. Ever wondered why some people jump out of perfectly good airplanes, or scale sheer rock faces or surf waves the size of small buildings? It's not just about bragging rights, though that's definitely a perk. It's about the rush, the pure, unadulterated hit of adrenaline that floods your system when you flirt with disaster. This is your brain's reward system kicking in, a primal pat on the back for surviving something terrifying. When you put yourself in a high-stakes situation, your body releases a cocktail of hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins that sharpen your senses, increase your strength, and make you feel incredibly alive. It's a natural high, a chemical reward for facing down danger. Your brain, in its ancient wisdom, designed this system to encourage risk-taking when necessary for survival, hunting dangerous prey, defending territory, escaping predators. The problem is, in modern society, most of us aren't facing saber-toothed tigers on a daily basis. So your brain, still craving that chemical reward, finds new ways to get its fix. It's like your internal drug dealer, constantly pushing you towards the next big thrill. It's basically saying, hey, remember how good it felt when you almost died? Let's do that again, but with more style. So next time you see someone doing something utterly insane for fun, just remember, their brain isn't broken, it's just highly motivated. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly dangerous, survival mechanism that's gone a little off script in the age of extreme sports. Number 5. The doom-scrolling addiction. Remember when news was something you got once a day, maybe twice? Now, it's a never-ending fire hose of global catastrophes, political meltdowns, and existential threats, all delivered directly to your pocket. And what do? We scroll, and scroll, and scroll. It's called doom scrolling, and it's the bizarre compulsion to consume negative news even when it makes us feel terrible. Why do we willingly subject ourselves to this digital self-flagellation? It's a twisted cocktail of your brain's ancient wiring and modern technology. On one hand, your brain is hardwired to pay attention to threats. It's a survival mechanism. If you know what's going wrong, you can prepare, adapt, or escape. The problem is, in the age of 24/7 global news, the threats are endless, often distant, and almost always beyond your control. But your brain still gets that little hit of vigilance, that false sense of preparedness. On the other hand, there's a psychological phenomenon called negativity bias, where our brains tend to give more weight to negative information. It's why you remember that one bad review more than 10 good ones. So, when you combine a brain that's obsessed with threats and a bias towards negativity, you get a perfect storm for doom scrolling. It's basically your brain saying, no, this makes me feel awful, but what if I miss the next awful thing? I must be informed. So next time you find yourself endlessly refreshing your newsfeed, just remember, your brain isn't being masochistic. It's just trying to keep you safe in a world that's constantly screaming danger. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly depressing survival mechanism that's gone a little overboard in the age of infinite information. Number 6. The near-miss thrill. Ever almost tripped on a curb or nearly got into a car accident, and instead of being purely terrified, you felt a strange jolt of exhilaration? That's the near-miss thrill, and it's another one of your brain's peculiar glitches. It's the feeling of relief mixed with a potent shot of adrenaline, a reminder that you're alive, you're capable, and you just dodged a bullet. Why does almost dying feel so good? It's a powerful feedback loop. When you experience a near miss, your body goes into full fight-or-flight mode. Heart rate up, senses sharpened, time seems to slow down. But then, when the danger passes, your brain quickly processes that you survived. And that survival, that immediate confirmation of your continued existence, triggers a massive release of feel-good chemicals. It's a primal celebration of not being eaten by the tiger. The problem is, your brain sometimes starts to associate that rush with the danger itself, rather than the survival. It's like a tiny subconscious daredevil is whispering, hey, that was fun. Let's try that again, but maybe a little closer to the edge next time. It's basically your brain saying, look how good I am at not dying. I deserve a treat. So next time you narrowly avoid disaster, just remember, your brain isn't being reckless. It's just celebrating your continued existence. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly risky, survival mechanism that's gone a little off-kilter in the age of airbags and safety nets. Number 7. The fear of missing out, FOMO, on disaster. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? The fear of missing out on something terrible. But think about it. When a major disaster strikes, whether it's a natural catastrophe or a global pandemic, there's a strange pull to be part of the conversation, to understand what's happening, even if it's from afar. It's not that you want the disaster to happen, but you don't want to be the last one to know, or the one who doesn't understand the implications. This is FOMO, but with a dark twist. Why do we feel this strange urge to be connected to collective suffering? It's partly about social cohesion. Humans are tribal creatures, and in times of crisis, the tribe comes together. Even if you're physically distant, staying informed and engaged with the unfolding events makes you feel like part of the larger human collective. It's also about a sense of control, or at least the illusion of it. By consuming information, even if it's terrifying, your brain feels like it's gaining knowledge, preparing for the worst, and thus exerting some influence over an uncontrollable situation. It's like your brain is saying, if I know everything about this impending asteroid, maybe I can somehow will it to miss us. The problem is, this constant consumption of negative news can lead to anxiety and helplessness, ironically making you feel less in control. But your brain doesn't always distinguish between useful information and overwhelming noise. It's basically saying, I need to know every single detail about this global catastrophe, just in case there's a pop quiz on the end of the world. So next time you find yourself compulsively checking updates on a crisis, just remember, your brain isn't being morbidly curious, it's just trying to keep you connected and informed. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly stressful, social mechanism that's gone a little overboard in the age of instant global communication. Number 8. The thrill of the forbidden. Why do we slow down to look at car crashes? Why are true crime podcasts so popular? Why do horror movies sell out? There's a dark allure to the forbidden, the taboo, the things we're told to avoid. It's not just about curiosity. It's about the thrill of peeking behind the curtain of normalcy, even if what's behind it is terrifying. This is your brain's rebellious streak, its desire to push boundaries and explore the edges of human experience. Why do we crave what scares us? It's partly about catharsis. By engaging with simulated danger, we can process our own fears and anxieties in a safe, controlled environment. It's like a psychological pressure release valve. It's also about understanding the human condition in its rawest, most extreme forms. When we see acts of violence or extreme suffering, our brains try to make sense of them, to understand the motivations, the consequences, the very nature of good and evil. It's a way of grappling with the darker aspects of existence without actually experiencing them. The problem is, sometimes this exploration can desensitize us, or even normalize what should remain shocking. But your brain is always seeking knowledge, even if that knowledge is disturbing. It's basically saying, I know this is messed up, but I need to understand how messed up it is. So next time you find yourself drawn to the darker corners of human experience, just remember, your brain isn't being perverse. It's just trying to understand the full spectrum of reality. It's a perfectly normal, albeit incredibly unsettling psychological mechanism that's gone a little too far in the age of endless content.